안녕하세요. 인사이트 코리아입니다. 과거에는 한강의 기적으로, 오늘날에는 방역 강국 타이틀로 만든 시민의식으로, 그리고 어느새 전 세계를 매료시키고 있는 소프트 파워 붐으로 한국은 여러 차례 놀라운 기적과 성장으로 세계를 놀라게 했는데요. 이제는 한국의 일거수일투족이 주목의 대상이 되었다고 해도 과언이 아니죠. 지나친 외래어의 유입을 걱정하던 때가 있었는데 이제는 해외에서 먹방, 만두, 떡볶이라는 말을 쓰고 해외 언론사가 혼족이라는 한국의 트렌드를 분석하는 날이 왔습니다. 그런데 7년 전부터 한국이라는 나라를 주목해야 한다는 언론사가 있었습니다. 오늘은 한국의 성장, 그리고 그 밑바탕에 있는 저력에 대해 소름돋는 분석, 그리고 예언과도 같은 내용을 담아낸 미국의 다큐멘터리를 소개해드리겠습니다.
Last 100 years, South Korea has been invaded, subjugated and divided. But within 2 generations, it's brought about an economic miracle that's changed the face of the nation and put this country of nearly 50 million people onto the world stage. Sitting at the end of a peninsula, South Korea is the size of Kentucky, with Japan to its east and China above North Korea. In less than 6 decades, South Korea has risen like a phoenix from the ashes to become an economic powerhouse with ambitions to match. On the international stage, it's hosted an Olympic Games, co-hosted the World Cup, and in 2010, it became the first Asian nation to host a G20 summit.
South Korea is a country that was raised by war, and that total destruction of the war has given it a lot of the impetus for building from scratch. So when we look at many of the industries, people were willing to take very bold decisions because essentially they had nothing to lose.
우선 이렇게 맨 땅에 과감하게 헤딩해서 빠른 시간에 카피캣의 대가로, 그리고 패스트 팔로워로 거듭난 과거 한국의 성장은 말 그대로 한강의 기적이라고 불렸죠.
Korea became a master of the copycat technology, but that doesn't mean that it isn't innovative. It becomes very powerful at using its control of management, of costs, of production systems to be a very powerful, what it calls fast follower.
The speed of South Korea's catch-up in the 1980s was meteoric. It became one of the tiger economies of Asia and a magnet for money. Investment in the economy was huge, both from abroad and at home. But by the late 1990s, the relationship between the banks, the chaebols and the government created an investment bubble. In 1997, that bubble burst and South Korea was bankrupt.
The Asian financial crisis of the late 90s was very tough on Korea. About 20% of the large conglomerates failed. Many of the others were in tough financial conditions.
South Korea needed a $58 billion bailout. South Korea had survived occupation and war to become one of the world's leading trading nations. Could they do it all over again?
결과적으로 한국인들은 또 해냈습니다. 하지만 1997년 말 IMF 사태, 한국에게 엄청난 국난이었죠. 1997년 당시 기사에 따르면 한국 기업에 투자 진출한 많은 나라들이 한국의 사태에 크게 우려한 반면 놀랍게도 이를 기점으로 한국이 더 성장할 것이라고 본 이들도 있었습니다. 투자자가 아닌 바이어와 현지은행의 경우 미국, 영국, 중국, 동유럽, 동남아를 조사한 결과 단기적으로 거래 신용에 대한 우려는 있었지만 놀랍게도 한국 경제의 앞날에 대해서 낙관적으로 전망했다고 합니다. 특히나 미국 바이어들은 한국의 원화가 절하되어 수출 단가가 인하될 것으로 기대하며 제품의 경쟁력은 유지되고 가격 경쟁력이 높아질 것이기 때문에 오히려 이를 기점으로 한국이 시장을 확대할 수 있는 혹이라고 바라보기도 했다는데요. 하지만 누구도 이런 미친 속도로 미친 성장을 해낼 줄 몰랐죠. 이를 가능케 했던 것은 첫 번째로 바로 단합해서 국난 극복을 하는 한국인들의 저력이었습니다.
Looking at the gleaming cars rolling off this Hyundai production line at a rate of 12,000 a day, it's hard to believe that 14 years ago, South Korea was bankrupt. Back in 1997, to save their country's failing currency, 3.5 million Koreans donated jewelry and 227 tons of gold, which drove the global price of gold down to an 18-year low, but helped raise more than $1 billion and demonstrated how determined the whole country was to rebuild its fortunes.
There is a sort of esprit de corps, I have to say, and there is a very strong Korean national identity. This country has come so far so fast, and it has to do with the sort of yearning to create a greater Korea, a greater presence on the world stage. I think that's the driving force.
그리고 해당 다큐멘터리는 두 번째 요소로 높은 퀄리티를 고수하는 한국인들의 엄격함, 세 번째 요소로 맨 땅에 헤딩하는 한국인들의 과감함을 조명했는데요.
When Samsung had problems with quality control, they chose a different way of dealing with it.
In 1995, when a fault was found with some of the cordless phones produced at our Gumi plant, the chairman ordered about 2,000 executives together for a ceremony. And at that ceremony, these cordless phones and other devices were destroyed in a ceremonial way. And this was really done in order to emphasize and signal a real shift in the way that we approached quality management.
Hyundai America came up with a radical idea to get US citizens to buy Korean cars.
We created something we called the Hyundai Assurance Plan, and we basically said if you buy a new Hyundai and you lose your job, you can give the car back. And the truth of it was, we didn't get many cars back, but it created a great deal of goodwill.
The following year, Hyundai took on rival Toyota, cheekily offering a $1,000 trade-in in the US during the Japanese car giant's woes. And it worked. Hyundai increased its market share. South Korea's hunger to succeed enabled it to pay back its IMF loan 3 years early. And by 2004, it had joined the $1 trillion club of world economies.
One of the impressive things about South Korean industry is its ability to forge new markets very quickly, particularly being bold and going into areas where other investors, and particularly their rivals, sometimes are a bit fearful to go.
In 2009, Samsung's profits were double Japan's 9 major consumer and industrial electronics companies combined. In 2010, Samsung posted record sales, putting them ahead of Hewlett-Packard and Siemens.
Now the push is more gravitating towards Vietnam and Indonesia. These are again tough markets, and the Korean background, coming from a nation raised by war, has created very bold leaders who like the idea of slightly tough, hard to work in environments. They're more willing to go there than, say, Japanese companies that can be more wary. If an American company opens a shoe factory in Indonesia, the Koreans will move there within months to compete with it. In other areas, they are just being bold. At the moment, they're even looking at real frontier markets like Cambodia. So they're looking to build the first really big international airport in Cambodia, real estate, leisure there. They're outstripping the Chinese at the moment in the amount they're investing into Cambodia. They're the biggest expatriate community in Indonesia. So they're really on the march in these kind of frontier markets.
By 2009, South Korea was the world's 9th largest exporter. In display panels, memory chips, and shipbuilding, they ranked number 1. In mobile phones, 2nd. Cars, 5th. Petrochemicals, steel and textiles were all in the top 10.
이렇게 한국은 놀라운 위치로 올라섰습니다. 하지만 한국은 만족하지 않았다는데요. 이제는 소프트 파워로 한국인들의 저력이 옮겨간 것입니다. 그리고 놀랍게도 해당 다큐멘터리에는 이미 중국과 일본의 사람들이 눈이 쏠려 있지만 사실 당시 시점에서 가장 놀라운 파워를 지닌 나라는 한국이라는 의견과 함께 한국이 곧 세계 시장을 장악할 것이라는 예측이 담겨 있었습니다.
But there are new global markets in South Korea's sights, soft power service industries. These are not factory but city-based, and they need highly educated individuals to create new wealth. Can South Korea Inc. become a world beater here as well?
We look at Korea today, it is emerging at such a pace that it's almost blindsiding some people right now, because all eyes are on China. Eyes have sort of been on Japan, but certainly we've seen this China focus. But if you talk to luxury goods companies, if you talk to retailers, if you talk to even small trouser manufacturers in Italy, just focusing on the consumer side, they say the most magical part of the world right now is South Korea. Look at the 3 main department store brands. These are not global household names yet, but you've got Shinsegae, you've got Lotte, you've got Hyundai. 3 stores which rival pretty much anything in Tokyo. They beat the pants off of anything in Hong Kong. And you can pretty much write off North America, Australia, and Europe. In a very short span of time, our bathroom cupboards or women's cosmetics bags are going to be full of Korean brands that are already billion-dollar companies in their own right. They just haven't gone beyond the borders of that nation yet, but they're on their way.
그리고 곧 글로벌 시장으로 진출할 한국의 문화의 중심축 중 하나로 건강한 패스트푸드로 브랜딩될 수 있는 K푸드가 조명되고 있었습니다. 해외에서 보기에도 한국인들이 말도 안 되게 잘하는 것 중 하나가 바로 푸드라는데요.
Seoul offers both luxury shopping and its own fast food.
There are 3 or 4 things that the Koreans do incredibly well, which are also quite easy to transfer into a fast food format. Here is something which is taking fresh ingredients and mixing them together, and you've got the wonderful taste and the ease of Korean pancakes. It has myriad assets from hot springs, of course, Korean cuisine. There's great shopping, there's amazing service. It has all of these things, but it hasn't been able to bundle together all of these raw assets into a strong, compelling national brand.
당시 한국에게 유일하게 필요한 것은 이 놀라운 문화들을 엮어줄 브랜드라고 보고 있었는데요. 정말 소름 돋게도 곧 한국이 한류라는 브랜딩을 통해 이제 세계 시장을 장악하게 될 것이라는 예측이 이어집니다. 그리고 이러한 성장을 가속화시켜줄 것은 바로 한국의 높은 디지털화 수준이라고 보았죠.
The Hallyu, the Korean wave, is a cultural phenomenon, and in the global soft power stakes, it's been called the country's biggest weapon.
Raw, soft power, those assets that can't be bought but are instantly loved and embraced by people around the world. The Koreans have understood how to export those things in spades. I mean, the Koreans have become the acceptable, loved face of Asia. If you are in Malaysia, you happen to love these Korean pop groups. If you're in Japan, you love those dramas. And if you're in Thailand, you like those actors and actresses.
Another reason South Korea is so globally in tune is that the country is a trailblazer for high-speed internet. 81% of the population are wired to broadband, and even in the subway there is connectivity. And this new digital world is changing some traditional Korean aspirations, and young people are attracted to their different way of working. Some of the old ways are being challenged by the young. Young South Koreans' priorities are different to their industrious parents and grandparents, who worked long hours to raise their country into an economic powerhouse, and soft power is accelerating the speed of that change.
이제 해당 다큐멘터리는 한국의 카피캣의 대가, 패스트 팔로워를 넘어섰으며 다음 10년간은 세계가 본 적 없는 새로운 것을 제시하고 세계를 리드하는 나라로 올라서게 될 것이라는 결론으로 다가서고 있었는데요.
The head of the IMF praised Korea for its intellectual leadership. Now, we spent a lot of time in the history of Korea looking at Korea as a nation that was a fast follower, that was master of catch-up. I think over the next decade, we're certainly going to see more and more spheres of life where the Koreans are giving leadership, ideas, and creative thinking, fields where we haven't even seen them before.
Once upon a time, Samsung, they fought purely on price. Now they fight on design and service.
After 60 years of near relentless growth, does South Korea feel it has achieved its goal, and is there more to come?
당시 이 질문에 대한 한국인들의 답은 어땠을까요? 재미있게도 이어지는 한국인 교수의 답은 어쩐지 한국인의 특성을 너무 잘 보여주는 것 같은데요.
On the whole, I think South Koreans today feel relatively comfortable economically. The only distinction, I think, is that the Koreans may be still a bit more hungry than the wealthier European countries or North American countries.
10년이 조금 덜 지난 2020년 현재까지도 한국은 만족하지 않고 끊임없이 성장을 이어가고 있으니 당연한 대답이었는지도 모르겠습니다.
Now is an interesting time to be Korean and see how well South Korea can fulfill its promise of great things to come. Everything points to a vibrant country that has married the best of both Western and Asian culture in a free market economy, and it could well make South Korea the nation to watch.
2013년에 한국이 주목해야 할 나라였다면 2023년에 한국은 또 어떤 나라가 되어 있을지 기대되는 시점입니다. 지금까지 인사이트 코리아였습니다. 감사합니다.